Well, good afternoon. My name is Michael Forbes, morning show co-host at 98.5 The Ocean with the Forbes and Marshall Show, and I've known the brothers Forbes all my life. Larry Forbes is my dad, and brother John is my uncle. And the little boy in the following presentation is me with clips of my grandpa Reg playing sax with the group on New Year's Eve. You notice the photos don't really match the words, but hey, it was the 70s. I'm proud to present the history of the legendary Brothers Forbes being inducted into the Victoria Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Prior to 1968, the Brothers Forbes, John and Larry, had a very productive career in the Royal Canadian Navy as musicians in the Naden Band. They were also performing in separate groups playing dance music. On the classical side, both John and Larry played for many years in the Victoria Symphony Orchestra. In the early spring of 1968, John and Larry decided to put their talents together and call themselves the Brothers Forbes. In May of 1968, the boys were approached by Claire Anderson, owner of the Oak Bay Marina restaurant, thus giving the Brothers Forbes their first steady gig, launching what was to be a long and successful career in Victoria. After a great summer, the brothers finished at the marina in September. The manager of the Empress Hotel heard the boys at the marina and thought they would be perfect for the new Empress Room, playing for dining and dancing and backing cabaret shows such as Bill Kenny of the Ink Spots and Rolf Harris. September 1969 saw the boys leave the Navy and invited by Ken Woodward to travel to Tokyo, Japan, sponsored by the BC Tourism Ministry to represent British Columbia, playing in a host suite at the American Federation of Travel Agents and International Tourism Convention. On the flight over to Japan, they wrote the words and music to their BC song, The Happening in BC.
Come on, swingers, to BC. Let BC set you free.
Performing it in Tokyo and returning to the Empress Hotel on a full-time basis in October. They were offered a gig at the Banff Springs Hotel for the summer, but the hotel manager of the Empress convinced them to stay and promised to open a room for dancing. Hence, the Paint Cellar was created as a nightclub. The Paint Cellar and the Brothers Forbes became the hottest item in town, with weekend lineups out through the lobby of the hotel. March 1971 saw the Brothers Forbes part company with the Empress Hotel and saw them launch a career at the Old Forge in the Strathcona Hotel that was welcomed by Keith and John Olson. The big weekend lineups moved with them, and they never looked back. Crowds of up to 1,000 people would pack the place on some of their busiest nights. In the spring of 1974, a female singer was added to the group. Gloria Baker added a new scope to their already versatile sound. Gloria sang with the group through the summer and then moved on. In 1974, a lead guitarist was invited to the group, which added yet another new dimension in the sound. Len Kanoki was to stay with the Brothers Forbes for the duration of the Old Forge gig. In the new year of 1975, Fred Hendricks left the group. Gloria Baker was brought back into the group, and Ken Garland was added on tenor sax and flute. It was decided at this point to change the name of the group to the Brothers Forbes and Friends. In the early fall of 1975, Ken Garland left the group and was replaced by Gordy Clemens on sax and flute. The next female singer was Jill Galt, who had come to the group from a large show group called Stratisfaction. This takes us into 1976. In the spring of 1977, Gordy left the group as he was graduating. He was replaced by Russ Botten on sax for a temporary period of time. The plan was to eventually take Larry off the drums and put him out front as lead singer, combined with playing sax and flute. In the fall of 1976, Jerry Adolph was hired to play drums. In the fall of 1977, Brad Clark filled the drum position. The following year, Jill hit the road. At this point, they had a stroke of luck. In the fall of 1978, Hannah Cope was hired to take Jill's place. At this point, there was John Forbes on keyboards, Len Kanoki on guitar and vocals, Hannah Cope on vocals, Larry Forbes on tenor sax, alto sax, soprano sax, flute, trumpet, and vocals, and Brad Clark on drums and vocals. They remained with this combination until brother Larry decided to pull the plug in the early summer of 1980. From 1980 to 83, there was Alan Topfer, Lee Adams, Leslie Kent, joining John, Len, and John for a short period. The Brothers Forbes and Friends finished their gig at the Old Forge in January 1983. This ended one of the longest standing gigs for any one group in the same nightclub 6 nights a week, entertaining tens of thousands of loyal fans and even their children as they grew of age. This is why they were referred to as the legendary, fabulous sounds of the brothers Forbes and Friends. So, where are they now? Brother John has remained very active in the music industry for many years as the Regional Director of Music for Tri-Services Cadets, conducting the Honor Band, and is currently the conductor of the Nanaimo Concert Band, also playing in the Nanaimo Blues Band and local gigs. Brother Larry is a professional realtor with RE/MAX in Greater Vancouver. He plays with the Discovery Naval Vets Band and sings for fun at functions. Many of the multi-talented Friends are still involved in music. Even though the band members have gone their separate ways, the brothers Forbes legend lives on.